was a quiet Tuesday evening when I first heard the story. One of those long-haul nights where your eyelids feel heavy, and the hum of the engine is the only company you've got for miles. I was parked at a small truck stop just outside of Flagstaff, sipping lukewarm coffee and flipping through the static on the CB. More out of boredom than anything else. That's when an old-timer sitting nearby sparked up a conversation. White beard, deep lines on his face, and a voice like gravel. He looked like someone who'd seen the road evolve from blacktop to ghost stories. "You ever run Channel 19 up near Dead Man's Descent?" he asked, almost casually. I shook my head. He leaned in, tapping his calloused fingers on the table. "You might want to keep it that way." His words hung in the air longer than they should have. I laughed it off, but there was something in the way he looked at me, like he knew something he wasn't supposed to say. Before I could ask more, he tipped his cap and walked off into the night, leaving behind the scent of diesel, mystery, and something else I couldn't quite place. And that was the first time I heard about the voice. A week later, I found myself hauling a load through northern Arizona. The route was tight, time was short, and the GPS suggested a shortcut. A stretch of road I'd never taken before. As fate would have it, that route ran straight through Dead Man's Descent. I didn't realize it until I saw the old, faded sign, barely visible through the grime. "Caution, steep grade, next 10 miles. The road felt colder, narrower. There was a heaviness in the air, like the atmosphere itself was thicker on that stretch of highway. My tires gripped the road a little harder. The wind began to howl strangely. Not loud, but eerie. I shook it off, chalked it up to nerves. Then I heard it, crackling through the CB, breaking through static like a whisper in a church. "Brakes failed! Can't stop! Someone help!" The voice was frantic, male, desperate, and the kicker. It was coming through Channel 19. I grabbed the mic instantly. "Breaker 19, come again? You okay out there?" Nothing. Another trucker chimed in. I heard it too. "Where are you?" Silence. For the next 15 minutes, the frequency was dead. Not static, not interference, just silence. And as strange as it sounds, it was the silence that unnerved me the most. That night stuck with me. I couldn't shake it. I found myself Googling old accidents along that highway, digging through forums, and scrolling past grainy photos and blurry dashcam clips. Most folks chalked it up to bad wiring or pranksters. But the old-timers, they had a different take. One post stood out. A driver in the early 90s lost control coming down the descent. His brakes gave out. Jackknifed right off the ridge. Killed instantly. The kicker? His last transmission, recorded by a truck behind him, was, "Brakes failed. Can't stop. Someone help." Word for word. The same damn line. I started asking around, left comments in trucker Facebook groups, even posted on a CB radio subreddit. Most people laughed. Some told me I was just tired, hearing things. But a few didn't laugh. They shared their own stories. Some had heard the voice once, others multiple times. Always the same stretch of road, always the same phrase. Never anyone actually seen in distress. Never any accidents reported afterward. And that's when it hit me. I wasn't the first to hear it. I wouldn't be the last. I decided to take that route again. This time I planned it out. Recorded the whole thing. Had my phone's camera rolling. CB set to Channel 19. External mic wired in. Even brought an EMF reader one of the online guys swore by. Yeah, I know how that sounds. The descent started out normal. Engine brake humming. Trailer steady. The night was unusually clear. Stars scattered like shattered glass across the sky. I felt okay. Until mile 4. The temperature dropped. Fast. My breath fogged up in the cab, despite the heater being on. And then, the CB lit up. Brakes failed. Can't stop. Someone help. This time it was louder. Clearer. Like he was right behind me. I grabbed the mic. "Where are you? Say your location." No reply, but my rear view mirror. That's when I saw something. Headlights. Just for a second. Right behind me. I turned, heart pounding. and they were gone. The road was empty. My EMF reader lit up like a Christmas tree. Static swelled through the CB, then silence again. But it wasn't just quiet. It was deafening. No crickets, no wind, not even the hum of my own tires. Then, the scream. Raw, human, piercing, echoing from the canyon below. I damn near slammed on the brakes. My truck fishtailed slightly. Hands gripping the wheel so tight my knuckles turned white. That was the moment I realized. This thing wasn't just a recording. It was something alive. I returned to the same truck stop a week later, searching for that old timer. I wanted answers. Didn't find him, but I did find an old photograph nailed to the corkboard inside. A memorial photo of a trucker who died in 1993. Same ridge, same accident. And his face. His face was familiar, because I'd seen him before. Not in person. In a framed photo on my grandfather's mantle when I was a kid. The man who died was my uncle. My family never talked about him much. Said he died young in an accident. I never thought to ask. But here it was, full circle. Somehow I was tied to this. Blood, family, fate. Call it what you want, but that voice. I knew now why I heard it so clearly. It wasn't calling for just anyone. It was calling for me. I haven't driven that route since, but I still monitor Channel 19. Every so often, late at night, when the fog rolls in thick and the desert's quiet as death. I'll hear it. That same voice, same words. Only now it says something new at the end. Can't stop. Someone help. Ahad, is that you? That's my name. No one else hears it. I've asked. I've played recordings. It never shows up. But I know what I heard, and maybe, just maybe, I'll go back one more time. Not to escape the voice, but to answer it. Because some ghosts, they're not trying to haunt you. They're trying to come home. I've been driving trucks for over 15 years now. You get used to the quiet. Those long, empty stretches of highway that just go on forever. After a while, the lines on the road start to blur, and time sort of melts into itself. You see things, hear things. Most of the time, it's just your mind playing tricks on you. But that night in Nevada, it wasn't my mind. It was around 2 a.m. I'd been driving for hours through a stretch of desert that looked the same in every direction. My eyelids were getting heavy, and my thermos was empty. I told myself I'd stop at the next gas station. Just fuel up, stretch my legs, maybe grab a coffee. Nothing out of the ordinary. Then, like a mirage, I saw it. An old gas station with flickering neon signs, and a rusted open board hanging crooked from one chain. It looked like it had been pulled from another decade, forgotten by time. I pulled in, engine rumbling low, tires crunching against dry gravel. The place was quiet, too quiet, but I was tired, and my tank was nearly empty. As I stepped out and started fueling, something caught my eye. Just a flicker in the corner of the side mirror. A shadow, long, human-shaped, moving across my passenger side window. But when I turned, there was no one there. I stood still, hose in hand, scanning the lot. The pumps were old, manual, with peeling paint and faded numbers. The only sound was the desert wind and the ticking of the fuel counter. That, and the faint buzz of the fluorescent sign above the roof. I shook it off. Lack of sleep. Shadows play weird games in low light. Once the tank was full, I headed inside. The interior was just as outdated. A single row of dusty shelves, some canned goods that looked older than me, and a few faded postcards near the register. Behind the counter stood a middle-aged woman with gray hair tied in a bun and thick-rimmed glasses. She didn't smile when I entered, just nodded slowly, like she'd been expecting me. I grabbed a coffee. It was stale, burnt, tasted like it had been sitting there for hours, but it was hot. As I paid, I casually asked, "This place always this quiet?" She didn't answer right away. Her eyes drifted toward the window, then back to me. "Quiet's good out here," she finally said. "Keeps things still." There was a silence between us, thick and strange. Then, just as I turned to leave, she added without looking up, "You're parked at pump 4, right?" "Yeah?" Her lips barely moved. "That's the one where the driver died." I paused, unsure if I heard her right. A driver. Died. She finally met my eyes. "Decades ago. He stopped to fill up, just like you. They say he was found slumped over the steering wheel, stabbed through the chest. No suspect. No motive. Locals called it a robbery gone bad." She shrugged like it was old news, then added almost casually, "Some say he still walks the pumps." I forced a laugh, but it came out dry. Back in my truck, I couldn't shake the unease. Her words looped in my head. "He still walks the pumps." I looked at the pump again. Number 4, just like mine. I tried to shake it off, started the engine, but I didn't drive away. Instead, I pulled out my phone. Weak signal, but enough to get some results. I searched. Nevada gas station trucker murder. To my surprise, something came up. An article from 1979. Trucker found dead at desert station. It matched her story. Same pump number, same time, around 2 a.m. The kicker, no one had ever been arrested. And get this, according to the article, the man's name was Tony, just like mine. Now, I was rattled. Was this some elaborate prank, coincidence, or something more? I decided to leave. I'd seen enough. The engine rumbled, but before I could shift into gear, there was a knock. 3 sharp taps on the passenger window. I turned so fast I nearly dropped my coffee. No one was there. The cab was empty. The lot was silent. But the knock had been real. I know what I heard. Then, I saw it. In the side mirror. A man standing at pump 4. Head down, shoulders slumped, like he was waiting for the fuel to finish. His figure was distorted in the glass, almost too still. I twisted to look out the window. Nothing. Gone. My heart pounded in my ears. I rolled down the window slowly. The air was dry and cold. Colder than it should have been. I could feel it inside the truck. Suddenly, the radio crackled to life. It wasn't on before. A voice whispered through the static, barely audible. "Still here. Still waiting." I turned the radio off. Silence. My hands trembled on the wheel. I didn't care about coffee or fuel or any of it anymore. I was leaving. But as I pulled away, I glanced into the mirror one last time. The man was back. Only this time, he was staring at me. I didn't stop driving for hours. I reached the next town by dawn, pulled into a diner and tried to explain what happened to another driver there. He gave me a weird look and said, "That station? It's been shut down for years." "No," I said. "I was just there last night. Pump 4, everything still worked." He shook his head slowly. "Nah, man. That place burned down in the early 2000s. Owner died inside. Some say it was cursed. No one's been there since." I laughed nervously, but my hands started to sweat. There was a woman behind the counter. He looked at me, dead serious. The owner's wife. She went missing after the fire. They never found her body. I stopped talking. My coffee went cold in my hand, because suddenly I remembered something strange. When I left the gas station, my receipt didn't have a timestamp, didn't even have a name, just the word, "Remember." I drove back 2 days later. I don't know why. Maybe to prove to myself it wasn't real. Maybe to find answers. But there was nothing there. Just sand, concrete rubble, and the remains of an old sign barely clinging to a post. No pumps, no store, no woman. Just a scorch mark on the ground where the building had once been. I walked the area, heart pounding. Then I found it. A rusted pump handle, half buried in the sand, labeled 4. And right beside it, a cracked mirror. When I looked into it, I expected to see my reflection. But I didn't. I saw him, the figure, staring back. Same dead eyes, same slumped posture. And behind him, the woman, smiling, faintly, as if welcoming me back. I dropped the mirror and ran. But here's the thing. Ever since that night, every time I stop at a gas station, anywhere, any state, I see pump 4. And sometimes when I'm fueling up, I catch a shadow moving across my truck window, even when no one's there. So if you're driving through Nevada and you spot an old flickering sign in the distance, keep driving, because some stops you don't come back from.